Hello, this is the Provoked Prawn, and this is another behind the scenes look at how I capture footage. Now this is actually on a mouse, the HP Omen Vector, which isn't a particularly interesting one on the face of it, although it is a wireless mouse. But the thing that's going to make this challenging is to make this look good. Now sometimes when companies send me things, they send me stuff that's already been used, so you can see this has already been opened. So doing an unboxing video on a mouse that's already been used is not ideal. If I actually open this up, it hasn't even been repackaged in a satisfying way, so it all just sort of flopped in there and flying around, and the plastic packaging is missing that would normally be there. There's none of the peel, and it's just a mouse that's been used. Even a close look at the PTFE feet and see it's been scratched off on the underside. So now I've got to somehow take a mouse that someone else has had and not treated particularly well and make it look nice, and that's going to be a challenge. Things like the cable, for example, being all just tied up in a knot. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Now I originally got this, I thought, oh, wireless mouse, I could maybe do a stop motion unboxing. I've done some of those in the past where I unbox things in stop motion, bits, each bit of the product coming out of the box, one bit at a time. But now when I try and open this stuff up, it's just going to fall out all over the place and it's not going to look great. Also, there's a question of whether it's going to even look good anyway. Luckily this isn't too dirty. They also sent a keyboard, which is absolutely filthy, so I'm not even going to do a video on that because trying to make it look nice under video light is going to be a nightmare, and that's a real shame. But we'll see how it goes. I've got a couple of ideas to maybe make things look a bit more interesting, and that's going to involve some new things. So we'll see what the process for that is going to be. So normally I'd get the mouse into a position where it might be interesting and do some nice unboxing session with it and get all the bits out and show it off. But because this box is a mess and things a mess, I'm going to try and make things a bit more interesting. Box externally isn't too bad actually. It's got a rip in it. But what I'm going to try and do is to make things interesting with sound this time. Something I don't usually make a lot of use of, but I feel like if I could slide it along the desk into the right shot, so I've got the camera here, slide it off and get it to sort of stop in roughly the right place. It's going to take a few tries. I'm hoping it'll end up looking quite cool if it just slides into the right place. Quite difficult. There we go, about there. Should be a pretty good slide. And then I think I'm going to try and keep the box in the same place and basically open it up and put the things out of the box next to each other and take shot after shot and then snap them together in a sort of cut process so that they end up just sort of appearing magically out of the box. I thought that might be a nice way of doing it, since I can't really unbox it, because if I open this up, it's all just going to fall out and it's going to look awful, so it's not going to be a great experience. So I'm hoping this way will be a slightly different way of doing it. And then I'm going to get some of the usual shots. I'm going to make sure it looks clean and get some nice angles, get down low, get some nice background to it, try and take some nice shots of it, try and make it look interesting basically. I'm going to try and make a used mouse look interesting. This is like buying it second-hand off eBay or something. See how it goes. So now I've got the top-down view camera into a position where it's kind of going to look nice. And one of the things I've done is actually it started off a bit further down, but then I realised what I want to try and do is get the shot a bit taller, because you can always crop things in the video editing process. And here I've got a lot of extra space around the sides, which doesn't look great. But what I don't want to end up with it is being too close, and then it's really awkward to edit. And so what I'm doing here is essentially I'm going to try and slide it in so it ends up in the middle of the frame, and also to give me a position where I can then get the mouse and the other bits out around it. So perhaps actually it needs to be a bit further out, maybe even higher up. If I put the camera a little bit higher up, it might be better. First thing to do is to focus it. Actually, I need to make sure the framing's right, so just get the guide on, get the camera into a straight position. Perfect. Also try and get the lines of the table into it so it looks really satisfying in terms of the straight lines and where the mouse is going to land. So I'm thinking what I might do is try and use another mouse. My goal is basically to end up with it like this, so the mouse is alongside. So slide into the shot to about here, pop the mouse out alongside it, maybe some of the other bits. Problem I've got is this light. There's light getting on this side about here, which doesn't look great, so I'm going to have to adjust some of the lighting. This is going to take a few takes. Oh, that wasn't bad. That shot actually looked like it might have been good. Now I want to keep it in this position. It's slightly at a jaunty angle, but I think that'll be okay, because then it's kind of spilling out this way, and we'll see how it goes. I've got to keep this box in the same place though, which is going to be tricky. So what I want to do is not capture footage of it coming out necessarily, because it's just going to be messy, but try and keep the box in the same place and then take it out. About it retrospectively, actually the best thing to do is to have an empty box. No one knows, do they? Maybe you could even slide the mouse in. Oh, that's crazy. You slide it in the other way. I might try 2 different shots. I'm going to try 2 different things. I'm going to try sliding the mouse in and see what that looks like. So if one shot isn't good, the other one will be. It dawned on me while I was doing it that the RGB lighting might work because someone else has used it. So I'll just put that on, and suddenly the mouse looks a lot more appealing. This is the nice bonus of having a wireless mouse, is being able to do this sort of thing, because trying to plug in a mouse while capturing footage of it can be a pain. But actually this is really handy to just have that immediately lighting up with some power. Next thing is this cable, which somebody else has awkwardly sort of curled up, but actually it might look okay, I think, and it might slide in easier like that. I'm going to try it again now. So there was that clip. One thing that might let it down is the RGB lighting actually being on, because that's obviously cycling through different colours, which might ruin the shot. But otherwise, maybe that'll look okay. Doesn't look that interesting from this angle, but hopefully the top-down one it will. We'll see. So the hope is that maybe the combination of those 3 shots should make up for the fact that I'm not actually unboxing it properly. It might be slightly interesting. I'm going to try it and do it slightly differently in case it doesn't come out, because I think that's one of the important things with doing this stuff, is making sure you get enough footage that you can use what you've got. And that's why I was doing multiple shots of capturing that, but also that might not work what I've just done. It might not work very well, might not look good. So I'm going to try my original idea as well. So I'm going to slide the box in, then I'm just going to put the mouse next to it, then the wire, and then the USB stick, and have them as different shots, and just do some hard cuts so they just appear. That's the idea anyway. We'll see which is more satisfying once I get around to actually doing the editing process. I'm not really sure which is going to be the best, and that's why I want to do 2 different things in case one's rubbish and the other one's okay. Maybe they'll both be rubbish. It might be that I don't even use any of these shots and I end up just doing B-roll footage of the mouse, because it just doesn't look great and I'm not happy with it. But that's the important part of doing this, I think, is getting into the habit of capturing loads of footage, even stuff you're not going to use. It is quite difficult. I found it very difficult to do that and then to cut and delete it all and just not use it, because it feels like you've put a lot of effort into doing something and you're pretty happy with most of it, and then you just don't do it, and then no one gets to see it. It's like, why did I bother? So you've got to sort of get into the habit of capturing footage, but also being happy to just get rid of it if you don't need it. And I think that's a difficult thing to learn, and it certainly has been for me anyway, but hopefully it's paying off. A pox on whoever did this, because it's surprisingly difficult to get apart. which is annoying. Damn you, whoever reviewed this before me. So that's the end of the video with the HP Omen Vector, which actually came out better than I thought. Well, we'll see what the end footage is like, but the mouse itself isn't overly beautiful in any way, but there are some interesting highlights to it that I showed off with a macro lens. For example, the wheel has some interesting texture on it, although it's very noisy, which be annoyance. Well, I want to talk about one of the things I used to do that I don't do as much as I should, but I like to do that's different to what other people do, I think, is these close-up macro shots. You can see this HP mouse on the face of it isn't particularly exciting, but actually the mouse wheel has a nice pattern on it, which you can just see in this clip. And if I can just get the focus in the right place, you can see the sort of overall look of it. It's got a nice texture effect on it, kind of little diamonds or triangles in different directions. And so this real close-up macro with a blurred background really shows off that design. And I'm going to get up close and personal with the side grip as well that you can see here, which is a similar awesome pattern on it. And I did a couple of videos, I never really kept them going, but macro close-up mysteries, which was basically just close-up shots of products like this, with like the question of what is this product? Should probably revisit those style of videos at some point because I thought they were fun. I don't know if anybody else enjoyed them. They didn't get much in the way of views, but I really like these sort of interesting shots of products. On the face of it, this is a cheap looking mouse, but it has some nice accents which are really shown up when you get up close to it like this. And that's not the sort of shot you'd see in a talking head video, so I think it makes it look quite different. The biggest problem with these macro shots is trying to get the whole thing in focus, because you need a lot of light and just the right position. And you can see, if you look carefully, where the focus is. Now if I move this round so it's more of an angle, you can see there's a line just about here where the focus is. And the focus is running down the middle there, and actually here is out of focus and so is here. So it kind of looks a bit odd in this position, and if I move in the camera it's perhaps not as noticeable, but it's also difficult to see where the focus is. So sometimes it's very tricky to keep the thing in focus while also moving it with a macro lens, when you're better off just having it in a sort of static position and focusing on this plane here of existence. But it's not as interesting, I don't think, with static shots. But you can see this, the entire thing is in focus, or at least it looks like it on the small camera's monitor. I'm hoping it will look that way in the end. And actually this side on view is really nice. Now I've got it into this position, I've realised that if I just move back to about here, refocus it, that shot looks fantastic. Probably needs a bit more of an angle. Maybe I need to change the light ever so slightly. There, that looks good. That's a really good shot now, so I'm going to use that. There's some interesting other highlights, like the Omen logo on the back and on the USB wireless dongle, and the fact that that docks sort of either way, but it's also really awkward to plug in with the USB-C on the front, which would be a frustration. I do, however, like the ergonomic shape of it and this textured grip on the side. So there are some things to talk about. Kind of weighty. Well, I'm not sure what the exact specs on that are. Probably should weigh it. But it came out better than I thought. Another highlight that I really should have captured on video actually is I discovered that whoever used it last had forgot to peel off the stickers from the feet. So actually, even though they look like they're scratched, now they look like they're new, so I managed to get some footage. So actually, despite the fact I didn't manage to unbox it, the footage for this review slash unboxing, it's going to end up being a review, should actually be pretty good. I think that's some pretty good B-roll out of it, and it ended up taking me like an hour just to do that mouse video, so hopefully that'll be good. Hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around, I'm going to do some more interesting ones shortly. For example, I'm thinking about doing a behind the scenes video exclusively for members, which is all about how much money I earn at 30,000 subscribers. And that's going to be a behind the scenes view for members only, so please click that join button if you're interested in seeing that. Otherwise it will be published sometime in the next 5 years, because I don't want everybody in the world knowing how much I'm earning at the moment. And I'm also going to be doing some videos on how I edit my gameplay footage for my Provoked Prawn, the Provoked Prawn Pews gaming channel that I've set up separately. I'm going to do footage on how I capture that footage using Streamlabs OBS, and then how I edit it. I'm also going to do a behind the scenes look at how I edit my normal footage, how I cut that down, what I do with it, and the logic behind things that I mentioned in my previous behind the scenes, like why I capture about 10 seconds of footage per angle or per shot that I'm doing, or more. Sometimes it's a lot more, but it usually is around 10 seconds, and that's for a number of reasons, not least of which is the camera shake and silly things like the fact that when you press the shutter you can sometimes hear it, and also it slightly touches the lens, and so waiting 10 seconds, for example, gives enough of a slip in the middle where it's wonderfully framed, not being bumped, there's no unnecessary noise and other things. But that behind the scenes look at the video editing process will also show you how and why I cut it down in about 3 passes. I go through 3 passes of my footage, and the end result is at one point I will have a cut that is specifically for my ASMR channel where I don't talk over the videos, and that is usually longer but doesn't feature looks at the software and just has all the unboxing stuff in it. Sometimes it's a bit rougher cut as well, and then the final product, which is the one that goes on my main channel, is cut down to be even tighter and shorter and to have a voiceover on it as well. So there are a number of different things and thought processes that I go through, not only in the capturing of footage but also editing it. So if you're interested in seeing that, please stick around, watch the rest of this playlist, the behind the scenes playlist, if you haven't already seen it, and be sure to check out the links in the description and come back for more. This has been the Provoked Prawn, thanks for watching. This has been the Provoked Prawn, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Hope you found it useful, interesting, hilarious, or all of the above. Be sure to check out the description for other information you might find interesting, and subscribe and watch these other videos as well that I think might be useful to you, and have a great life.